Good morning, friends. From today, we are going to start with chapter number 10, Human Health and Diseases. And our today's topic is common human diseases. Before we start, as we know, we all are stuck in our home due to the pandemic COVID-19 caused by a virus named corona. What is virus? Viruses are the acellular organism. They do not grow, do not eat food or respire. They lack their cell organelle, just like mitochondria, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. But they have a protein coat, that is capsid, around DNA or RNA. Viruses are inactive outside a host cell, but once they enter into a particular host cell, they take charge of that particular cell and multiply themselves and disturb the cells. The viruses spread either directly or indirectly and transmit the disease. Like viruses, there are some other pathogens which infect human health. In our upcoming lecture, we are going to learn about them. Now, we are going to start with our first topic, that is common human diseases. Let us start with the definition of disease. The name itself indicates disease which is disturbed is. Let us start with definition. Disease is defined as a condition of disturbed or deranged functioning of one or more organ or organ system of a body, caused due to infection, defective diet or heredity. I repeat, caused due to infection, defective diet or heredity. All human diseases can be broadly categorized into two types, congenital disease and acquired disease. These are the two types of diseases. Let us start with the first disease, that is congenital disease. What are congenital disease? They are present from birth. Here the word present from birth is important. May be caused by genetic abnormality or metabolic disorder. They may be permanent and were practically incurable. Why they are incurable or why they get caused by genetic abnormality? In our earlier slide, we said that they caused by infection, defective diet or heredity. What is heredity? Heredity means the character which are transferred from one generation to the next generation, that is from the mother to their child. Here also some diseases may be caused or transferred from their mother to their child. So these kind of diseases are considered as the congenital disease. Opposite to that of the second type, that is the acquired disease. Acquired diseases are developed after birth. Here the word develop after birth. In congenital disease, they are present from birth. In acquired disease, they are developed after birth. As they are developed after birth, so they are again divided into two subtypes, communicable disease or infectious disease, and the second one is non-communicable disease or non-infectious disease. Okay, now let us start with the first one, that is the communicable disease. What are communicable diseases? The diseases which are transmitted from infected person to another healthy person, either directly or indirectly, are known as communicable or infectious disease. The diseases which are transmitted from means one person is infected from a particular disease, they carry these diseases to the or transmit the disease to the healthy person either directly or indirectly, are known as communicable or infectious disease. In our definition, we saw they are caused by infection. Means these infection or these kind of infection may be either communicable or they are directly or indirectly. Okay, this is all about the communicable disease or infectious disease. Let us see some example of communicable disease or infectious. For example, malaria, typhoid, common cold, AIDS, COVID-19, chickenpox. These are the some communicable diseases. Okay, let us start with the second, that is the non-communicable or non-infectious. The diseases that cannot be transmitted from infected person to another healthy person either directly or indirectly are known as non-communicable or non-infectious. Here the word cannot be transmitted is important. In this case, the disease cannot be transmitted either directly or indirectly. Let us see some example. For example, cancer. We know the cancer. Cancer is a non-infectious or non-communicable disease. It never get transmitted from infected person to the healthy one. Another example is some disorder, some deficiency disorders. For example, one person is suffering from the anemia or the vitamin deficiency or the mineral deficiency. This kind of deficiency never get transmitted from the infected person to the healthy person, so they are considered as the non-communicable or non-infectious disease. Now if we consider that is the communicable disease or infectious disease, again they are caused by pathogens. Okay, what are pathogens? Pathogens are the disease causing organism or the agent, the organism which are responsible for the disease causing. So examples of pathogens are viruses, bacteria, fungi, helminth, worms. These are the some examples of communicable disease or the pathogens. Pathogens are the disease causing organism. Okay, now the next one is the many pathogens use another organism. Okay, what are pathogens? Virus, bacteria, fungi. These are the pathogens. They are the pathogens and they use the another organism, that is the vector. For what? To reach us. Here the word vector is, that is they carry the particular pathogen. When an organism carry an particular pathogen, these organisms are considered as the vector, and the classical example is, as we know, that is mosquito. Mosquito carry the number of pathogens, and these pathogens directly cannot reach us. With the help of this vector, that is mosquito, they easily reach us and cause the n number of diseases. Then these vectors are actually the parasite. Again the word parasite. What a parasite? Parasite is an organism that live in or on, that live in or inside the body or on the body of the organism and derive its nutrition from that of host organism. On the basis of this, there are two categories of parasite. First one is the ectoparasite and the second one is the endoparasite. What are ectoparasite? Means they are present on the body of the host organism. Example, here the example is bedbug. The another example is louse, fleas. These are the some examples of the ectoparasite. What about the endoparasite? The endoparasite which are live inside the body of the host organism. So the examples are Plasmodium, which is responsible or which cause the disease like malaria. Then the Salmonella typhi. These are the some example which are considered as the endoparasite. Okay, this is all about the introduction, that is what is disease, the types of disease, that is the congenital disease and the acquired disease. Acquired disease is divided into two types, communicable and the non-communicable. If they are communicable, they use the pathogens, and the pathogens are carried out with the help of vectors. What are vectors? Vectors are the parasite. Then parasites are of again two types, ectoparasite and endoparasite. Got it, student? This is all about the introduction of disease. Now let us start with our first disease, that is malaria. It is a vector-borne infectious disease caused by Proteus plasmodium. Here the three words is important: vector-borne, infectious disease and caused by protists. As is vector borne, means vector are the mosquito which carry the pathogen, that is the protist plasmodium, and so they are transmit the disease from infected person to the healthy one, so they are the infectious disease. Okay, now let us start with the first, that is the signs and symptoms of malaria. Before we start, how do we know that we are suffering from a disease? Yes, on the basis of the symptoms and signs. Then what are the symptoms? The things we feel as being wrong. So the symptoms indicate that there might be a disease. Okay, this is all about the symptoms. For example, headache, stomach pain, some kind of fever. This is considered as the symptoms. There might be a disease. But what about sign? A doctor look for on the basis of a symptoms. So sign indicate the presence of a particular disease. If there is a 104 degree Fahrenheit continuous fever, then the patient is suffering from a particular kind of disease, for example malaria, typhoid, etc. This kind of symptoms are considered as the signs. Okay, now let us start with the sign and symptoms of malaria. Symptoms of malaria being to appear about 7 to 15 days. 7 to 15 days after the bite of infective mosquito. What is infective mosquito? Means the mosquito which carry the protist or the pathogen plasmodium. So they are considered as the infective mosquito. Okay, now the initial symptoms are fever, headache, chill, may be difficult to recognize as malaria. Why? Because these are the initial symptoms, and if this kind of symptoms are seen in a particular organism or person, it indicates that there might be a disease. Okay, but the classical symptoms, in next point, the classical symptoms of malaria is cyclic occurrence of high fever followed by sweating and sudden shivering. This is one of the classical symptoms. If this kind of symptom is seen in a particular organ or person, that it indicates, or this sign is indicate that the person is suffering from a malaria. Okay, some other symptoms or signs are the nausea, vomiting, body ache, headache, chill, etc. Okay, now the next one is in next slide, that is the mode of transmission, how these disease get transmitted. Plasmodium is transmitted from one person to another person through an insect vector, that is the female Anopheles mosquito. Anopheles mosquito, it is a particular species of mosquito which is responsible for the carrying the pathogen plasmodium, and here only the female mosquito is carry the plasmodium pathogen, not male. Why not male? Because the male mosquito is feed on the plant sap. Student, please be remember that female mosquito is only responsible for the plasmodium, because female Anopheles mosquito is feed on the blood of the organism, not the male mosquito. Male mosquito is feed on the plant sap. Okay, next, when infected female Anopheles suck the human blood, it may transfer this sporozoid to human circulation. Okay, these sporozoid reproduce asexually through fission in liver cells, that is the hepatic cell, or erythrocyte, that is the RBC. The cells forms are now called merozoid. The cells formed within the erythrocyte, that is in RBCs, function as gametocyte. What are gametocytes? Gametocytes are male gamete or the female gamete, or male sex cell or the female male sex cells. This gametocyte, if taken up by the female Anopheles, fertilization is occur in its gut. In whose gut? Mosquitoes, female Anopheles mosquitoes gut. Now the diploid zygote 2N is formed, which transfer into the oocyst. This oocyst form the large number of haploid sporozoid through meiosis. Why haploid sporozoid they form? Because here the cell division meiosis is takes place, and we know that in case of meiosis the reduction division is takes place. Now this sporozoite migrate towards the salivary gland of female Anopheles mosquito, and they are ready to infect the new human host. This is all about the mode of transmission. We get clear in our next slide, that is in the stages in the life cycle of Plasmodium in mosquito and human. Student, please see the life cycle of Plasmodium. The life cycle of Plasmodium is very interesting. Why? Because they have two hosts. First the mosquito and the second one is the human. Now let us start with the first, mosquito. When mosquito bite an infected person, what happen? It sucks the blood along with the gametocyte. When mosquito bite an infected person, the last one, the lowermost mosquito, when bite an infected person, along with blood, they with gametocyte, that is male and female sex cell, or the male gamete or the female gamete. Now these gametocyte get fused to form ookinete. Okay, microgamete, macrogamete, they form the zygote. Then next one, in the mosquito's midgut, they form the ookinete. This procedure is known as the fertilization. Now the oocysts release the sporozoite. What are sporozoite? Sporozoites are the motile spores like stage that is typically infective agent introduced into a host organism. This sporozoite store in the mosquito's salivary gland, the uppermost, below the cycle in mosquito, sporozoite to salivary gland. Now when these mosquito bite a healthy person, the half part, next part of that diagram, the sporozoite get released into the normal or the healthy human blood. Now what will happen to the sporozoite? This sporozoite directly reach to the liver, that is in the hepatic cell, and undergoes asexual reproduction, and they get increase in number. Due to this, the enlargement of liver takes place, and this condition is known as hepatomegaly. I repeat, hepatomegaly means the enlargement of liver takes place. Now these sporozoites form the merozoites in next point. As they get released into the blood and RBC burst, and at that time they release the substance which is toxic in nature called hemozoin. I repeat the word hemozoin. Hemozoin is the substance which release when RBCs of the human or the RBCs get burst. It releases the chemical substance which is responsible for fever, chill, shivering, and these symptoms are, or these are the signs which are generally seen in the case of malaria. Okay, now if we see that the development of sporozoite inside the human being, that means parasite living inside the body of human being. So we can say that parasites spend half of the lifetime inside the mosquito and the half of the lifetime inside the human being. Then what happened with the sporozoite? They will form the gametocyte, male sex cell or the female sex cells. They will form the gametocyte, and this formation of gametocyte takes place inside the body of human or inside the human being. Now again, the normal or non-infected mosquito when come and bite the human being, now this human being is infected as he has hemozoin in his body or in blood. He is infected with the malaria. When mosquito will come and bite the person, the entire cycle goes on repeating. This is how the malaria is transmitted from an infected person to the another person through the female Anopheles mosquito. And this is all about the stages in the life cycle of Plasmodium in mosquito and the human. Okay, I think you understood what I said. That is, it start with the mosquito and again they are goes on repeating and repeating. Okay, now let us quick review. Mosquito bite infect a person. They take the gametocyte. The development occur in mosquito. Sporozoites are formed. Sporozoites are formed and stored in salivary gland. They bite a normal person, inject the sporozoid into human body. Development occur in the liver cell. Then RBC get burst and gametocytes are formed. The Plasmodium parasite has two hosts, as we know. But what actually happen in these two hosts? Human being. In human being, the formation of gametocyte takes place, and in mosquito, the formation of sporozoid takes place. This is all about the mode of transmission or the stages in the life cycle of Plasmodium. Now, the next one is the prevention and the control. Prevention of mosquito bite by using mosquito net and insect repellent. Spraying insecticides and draining stagnant water where mosquito lays egg. And the third one is that the mosquito larvae can be controlled by using Gambusia freshwater fish, which is act as a biocontrol agent. This fish is used for to control the mosquito larva. This is all about the prevention and the control measure of malaria. Okay, this is all about the malaria. Now we go to the next slide and the next disease, that is amoebiasis. Amoebiasis is also known as amoebic dysentery. It is common infection of human gastrointestinal tract which affect 15% of population of India. As it is the infectious disease, means they get transferred or transmit their disease from infected person to the healthy one. Okay, here the pathogen is the parasite, as it is present inside the human body. That is, they are the endoparasite, and the name of the particular parasite is the Entamoeba histolytica. Amoebiasis is caused by a protist parasite which is endoparasite named Entamoeba histolytica. Now, the signs and symptoms. Diarrhea, flatulence, stool in mucus, abdominal pain, that is the cramps, are common. Passing of blood with stool is common in severe cases. Hepatomegaly occur if parasite enters the liver, that is enlargement of liver takes place. Liver develop amoebic liver abscess accompanied with fever and pain in right abdomen. Here the second point, that is the passing of blood with stool is common in severe cases. Now, stool with blood and mucus. From where the blood comes in stool? Blood actually comes when this pathogen break the lining of large intestine, so that tearing off lining will release the blood. So the blood will come out through the stool. In many cases, the amoeba also enter into the blood stream and reach to the liver. So it can cause damage to the other organ like liver also. And this is the condition, that is the hepatomegaly. Here the enlargement of liver takes place because the parasite get enter into the liver. This is all about the sign and symptoms. Again, the constipation might be seen in the sign and symptoms of the amoebiasis. Now the next slide is the mode of transmission. Here the first one is the fecal-oral route transmission. Eating with dirty hands, and contaminated food and water. First, fecal-oral route. What is fecal-oral route? It is a particular route of transmission of a disease wherein pathogen in fecal particles pass from one person to the mouth of the other person. Okay, again how these pathogen get enter into the human body? Through contaminated food and drinking water. Here the vectors are the housefly. Housefly act as a transmitting agent or the vector. As we know, housefly is nothing but the mechanical carrier of the pathogen. These parasites are present in the feces of the infected person. So what happens? These housefly will carry the parasite from the feces and they will carry to the food of the normal person. Now we know that when they carry along with the food, now they get primarily enter into the large intestine, and large intestine is responsible for, or it is helpful in the digestion. One of the most important role which is the egestion in large intestine, which is egestion, means removal of undigested matter out of the body. So when this pathogen attack on large intestine, what happen is that there is issue with the egestion process, that is a constipation. Undigested food does not happen to be appear of ejected, does not comes out properly, and this is how the mode of transmission of the disease. Now the prevention and the control measure. As we know that the good sanitary or hygienic practice is the most important. Here the first one is the wash hand with the hot water and soap after using toilet and changing baby's diaper. Drink boiled water, otherwise water must be chlorinated or filtered. Avoid eating unhygienic food, that is the food with contaminated water and food. Vegetable must be properly washed and cooked. Proper sanitary facilities, this is very important. Proper sanitary facilities including sewage disposal help in prevention of this kind of disease. And students, this is all about the amoebiasis. Okay, today we see the introduction, that is the disease, what are disease, types of disease, the disease malaria and the amoebiasis. This is all about our today's lecture. In tomorrow lecture we will see the next diseases. Till then, stay happy, stay home, stay and do study. Thank you.